Hello and welcome. This is Jasur from JR and Firm. In this presentation, I'd like to talk about registering a company in China in 11 steps. And the information in this presentation is true for September 10th, 2022. If anything changes, we periodically do this kind of presentations, including updates. So let's start, guys. After my first video, actually, there's a lot of questions regarding registering a company in China. So I'd like to actually respond to those questions and clarify a few things during the presentation here. Before we go ahead, let me talk about our company briefly. Our company, like I mentioned in different videos, we are located in the US, JR and Firm, and we also have a company in China, Shanghai Silk Road. And I also mentioned that we separated corporate consultancy from Shanghai Silk Road. Shanghai Silk Road now only focuses on trading, but JR and Firm, our US company, provides corporate consultancy. So these services, which you can see here, provided by JR and Firm, our US company. So first of all, incorporation in many countries and regions. You can see the list here. And obviously post-company formation services, including structuring, restructuring, liquidation, maintenance, etc., etc. And legal representation, especially in China and Hong Kong, Singapore, and some other countries. You can contact us. We have lawyers, actually, legal counsels of our companies in China full-time. So if you have any disputes with Chinese suppliers or factories, you can give us a call or contact us, and we're going to discuss the options. And we also provide market research, company due diligence, trading solutions, and tailor-made corporate consultancy, obviously. If you would like to talk to me personally and discuss your situation, you can book a call here on our website, grandfirm.com, appointments. You can select a date and we will have a Zoom call. Now, our contact emails, both of them are active. Feel free to email us with your questions, with your business situation. I will be happy to, discuss all the, circumstances, and based on your specific situation, we're going to get back to you with the solution. Now, so in this presentation, like I said, I'm going to break it down, the whole process of company formation in China into 11 steps. So I'm going to go through all the details, actually, what's required, and some of the important parts to pay attention to. So step number one, we're going to talk about positions. Companies in China are required to have two mandatory positions. Okay, this position, the word, this is the highlight. Okay, very important, because some people mix position with shareholding. So this is not the case, actually. These are two separate things. So for example, these two mandatory positions are company director, aka legal person. Okay, if you hear somebody talks about legal person in China, they mean company director. Okay, this is the managing director of the company. Okay, and company director, legal person, can be of any nationality. Of course, there are some restrictions regarding nationality. I need to mention that. This probably the choice of word here is not 100% true, because in fact it's not any nationality. Unfortunately, there are some nationalities cannot register company in China. For example, citizens of Afghanistan, Syria, North Korea, and for some reason Cuba, and there are some other nationalities which might be under global, economic or financial sanctions. So if you come from one of these countries that I mentioned, or your country is under global sanctions, global means that majority of the countries, impose sanctions against that particular country. So if you are a citizen of such a country, for example, Russia, it would be very, very difficult to open a bank account for your company. Even if you register a company, but it's going to be extremely challenging or next to impossible to open a company account for your company, basically corporate account for your company. So number 2 position which is required is company supervisor, aka manager. And also the same situation regarding nationality, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Now, these 2 positions, like I said, these are not shareholders, guys. Do not mix with shareholding of the company with positions, okay? Both of these, director and supervisor, they can be shareholder of the company. They can own some shares in the company, or company director or supervisor, they can own 100% of the company. Okay, it's up to you, entirely up to you how you divide the shares of the company. Okay, so there's no restriction on that. But again, company director and supervisor, these are the positions. Now, additional information: company director, legal person, must be present in China with his or her passport plus supervisor's passport in order to open a company bank account. Okay, without this, it's impossible. In China, up until now, none of the banks accept power of attorney, or none of the banks accept virtual presence, for example, Zoom call or Skype call. It doesn't exist in China. If you want to open a company bank account in China, your company director, aka legal person, must be personally, physically present in China. Okay, that is the number 1 thing you have to consider. If you want to register a company in China, this is your first and foremost task. Okay, if you cannot travel to China, I'm talking about the company director. If the company director cannot travel to China, then the only solution will be to find somebody in China who is available to be a company director, at least temporarily. Okay, you can appoint them temporarily as a company director, legal person, and then that person should be able to go to the bank to meet the bank manager, and during the meeting, he or she will have to bring their own passport and plus supervisor's passport, original. Okay, not the copy, not the power of attorney, only original passports are accepted. Company supervisor, manager, is not required to be present personally, okay, during the bank meeting or during any process of company formation. They can be outside of China, but most important thing is supervisor should be able to send his or her passport to the company director when the company director is in China. Okay, because right now China is opening up, so you can travel to China, get a visa as a company director, and when you come to China, make sure you bring your passport and supervisor's passport. Okay, so that's very important. That's why it's step number 1. You need to consider that. You need to find people. Okay, if you are a shareholder, separate from company director or supervisor, because there are some companies, shareholders are totally different from director and supervisor. So if you are in that position, so make sure you find company director who can travel or who is available in China, who lives in China maybe. And plus, you need to find a separate supervisor. Okay, this is also very important. Company director and supervisor are separate people. Okay, they are not the same people. It cannot be, because people keep asking us this question a lot. Actually, they say, I am a company director, can I take up the supervisor's position as well? No, it's not allowed. These are 2 separate people. Okay, Now, next important information is company director, like I mentioned, legal person, can also be a shareholder in the company, but he or she cannot be a supervisor. It's mentioned, so it has to be a separate person. Company supervisor manager can also be a shareholder in the company, but cannot be a director. Okay, they are two separate people. And the shareholding, how much share? This is also another question people keep asking us. It's up to you. Okay, you are the company owner, you are the company founder. You decide how much share which shareholder holds. Okay, if it's like 100%, be it 100%. If it's like 10% for one shareholder, and then you divide the other 90% among like 40 shareholders, it's up to you. By the way, this is another information I would like to give. There can be up to 50 shareholders in a company in China. Okay, we're talking about limited liability company. So limited liability company, in other words, wholly foreign owned enterprise. It means basically the company is owned 100% by foreign shareholders. Okay, so in this kind of company you can have up to 50 shareholders, and shareholders can be a mixture of individual and corporate shareholders. Corporate shareholder basically means another company, so you can include another company as a shareholder in your Chinese company. There's no limitation on that. Or it can be just individual 100% owning. If you are a single person, single shareholder company, you can be that. You can own 100%. But again, you have to make sure that if you take the role of the director, okay, as a shareholder, for example, you need to find the second person to be a company supervisor. All right. So I hope this makes sense. If any questions, feel free to send us an email, guys. So another information I would like to talk about these two positions is, can a company shareholder, company director, aka legal person, can only be an individual, not a company. Okay, very important. Only one company director is allowed. This also creates a lot of misconception or confusion. People say that, well, we are two directors, or we want to use our company as a director. In mainland China, it's entirely different from Hong Kong. So yeah, most of the time probably people make this mistake. While in Hong Kong, it's allowed to have a corporate director. In mainland China, it's not allowed. All right. So it's only individual, not a company. Okay. And company supervisor, also an individual, not a company. And both director and supervisor can only be one. Okay. You cannot have multiple company managing directors in the company in China. It's not allowed. You can have a board of directors, but only one of the directors will be managing director, aka legal person. You can only have one legal person. You can have other directors, but they're not called legal persons. Okay, so that's very important to note. The same is true for supervisor. You can have a board of supervisors, but there's only one manager, one supervisor that is the leader. Is only one. It's not divided by, it's not divided among other supervisors. So, we're talking about decision makers and people who can sign documents. Okay, so if you have multiple directors in the board of directors, they're not allowed to sign important documents. So moving forward, very important note: if shareholders wish to relocate to China with work visa plus work permit, they will have to take a position in the company. Okay, it can be a company director or supervisor or any other position depending on their qualification. Like I mentioned in different videos, we don't deal with visas in China. Okay, we never deal with visas because again, I would like to mention that immigration offices across China, they don't like, or they actually mentioned to us many times on many occasions that no company, no agency, no individual can meddle, okay, or get involved in the visa process and charge a service fee for that, okay. In fact, it's illegal. There are no like licenses that an agency or individual can hold as a visa agent in China. It's illegal. There are no licenses. It doesn't exist, okay, in China. Only the immigration office can assist you with the visa or answer to your questions. But based on the general information available on their websites, formal websites, I can say that, this company shareholders cannot apply for visa just on the fact that they are shareholders, okay. So in Chinese law, in Chinese, like, there's no immigration law or anything like that that governs, because China is not, it's not open for immigration, okay. But there are laws and policies that govern this kind of things. Visa matters and stuff like that. So based on them, shareholders are not able to, or do not have the right to apply for visas just because they're shareholders in a company. So they have to have some position. They have to hold a position in the company, whether it's a director or supervisor or some IT specialist, whatever, based on their qualifications. Because generally speaking, in China, when a person applies for work visa, he or she, first of all, needs to provide labor agreement, okay, between himself or herself and the company. So in this situation, even if you are a shareholder or 100% owner of the company, you will be still required to sign a labor agreement between yourself and your company. And plus, you need to provide qualifications. Based on the current situation, minimum requirement is having a bachelor's degree from recognized university. Recognized in this context means basically your university should be listed in the United Nations database. Okay, it has to be on that list, and your work experience should not overlap with your education. Okay, so if, for example, you studied between 2020 and 2000, or 2017 and 2020, for example, your work experience should be either before your education or after your education. Okay, it's minimum 2 years full-time work experience. All right. So again, regarding visa matters, guys, please do not email or do not ask us, because, like I said, we don't deal with visa. It's just for information purposes. If you have any questions regarding visa, work permit, etc., I only can advise or recommend you email immigration offices of the city you're trying to relocate to. For example, if it's Shanghai, please go ahead and email Shanghai Immigration Office. If it's Guangzhou, then you can contact Guangzhou Immigration Office, etc. Okay. So moving forward, step 2 now, you need to consider company's business direction or company's business field, so to speak. It's not the type of company, because the type of company for all these business directions is the same. It's limited liability company. In other words, it's WFOE, wholly foreign owned enterprise, 100% owned by foreign shareholders. All right, this is the type of company. But this type of company can be in different directions, in different fields, so to speak. So foreigners can register their companies in different business directions. For example, trading, international trading, consulting, IT consulting, sports consulting, education consulting, skills trading, culture communication, etc. There are so many other directions you can choose from. So you might ask, how do I choose? How do I know all the list? No, you can tell us about your business plan. What do you want to do? And based on that, we will be able to recommend some business directions and fields. Okay, there are basically hundreds of them. So let me explain some of the differences here. Trading means only inside China, only inside mainland China. Okay, so basically this type of company only focuses on the mainland Chinese market, not Hong Kong, not Macau, only mainland China market. So very important to note, actually, if you open such a company, your company will not have a foreign currency account. It will only have RMB account, and it can only trade inside China. If you want to have international trading company, this is basically import and export company. So in this company, you can apply for a foreign currency account, and that can be USD, Euro, or some other currencies. Okay, Hong Kong dollar, for example, etc. You can have multi-currency account. Okay, and obviously you will have customs permit, import and export permit, and regarding the products you want to import and export, there are some additional licenses depending on what type of product you want to import or export. But generally speaking, China is kind of making it really wide. The list of actually allowed products to import or export without any additional license or permit. So it's getting, year by year, that list is getting longer, actually. So for consulting, IT consulting, sports consulting, I think you can judge by the name, actually. So just like the name suggests here, these companies will focus on this business directions. And culture communication, this is something might be, you might not be familiar with this kind of direction, but generally speaking, culture communication has something to do with culture. Okay, for example, if your own culture has some business opportunities, maybe you want to represent your culture. Let's say you're from Brazil and you want to teach Brazilian traditional dance or something like that, then you can register a company in this direction. Okay, you will be given such a license. It's also similar to other licenses here, and you will have 30-year business license. You don't have to renew it. It's actually generally true in China. So yeah, it's got something to do with culture. Okay, that's why it's culture communication. Next, step number 3 is company's registered capital. Many people ask questions about this as well, so let me explain. Registered capital of a company varies depending on several factors. So basically, before we go ahead, I would like to highlight registered capital is not a paid-up capital. It means that in China, you just register your capital. So in other words, you are expected to inject this capital within the validity of your business license. Like I mentioned in the earlier slide, business license is normally given for 30 years. You don't have to renew it every year. So that is the time frame for you to inject your registered capital if you decide so. It's not mandatory. I would like to highlight once again, it's not mandatory. Whoever tells you that it is mandatory, they are lying or they don't know what they're talking about. Because China company law, it was updated. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2016. It was updated. It was altered, and based on that update, registered capital is not required to be injected. Okay, it's up to you. If the shareholders of the company decide to inject the registered capital, it's good for them. Because like I mentioned in the previous video, actually, if you inject your registered capital, it's seen on public data. your potential partners, your potential suppliers, or any big company that you want to work with in China, they can easily look it up. If you have injected your registered capital, it proves one thing, that you are committed in doing business in China. All right. So that is the only key element here regarding registered capital. Other than that, you are not required. Okay. If you're a small business owner, if you're a freelancer, one person company, single shareholder company, you are not required to, if you decide so, you're not required to inject this registered capital. But generally speaking, on paper, when you submit an application through us, so this registered capital depends on two factors. Company's business direction. Business direction are this, okay, trading, international trading, etc., etc. And place of registration. Place of registration, not the city, because inside the city there are districts, and also within districts there are economic zones. You cannot just go ahead and register your company in random place in the city. No, it doesn't work like that, because the districts in Shanghai, for example, 19 districts, they are also divided into economic zones or special places. All right, so only in those places you can register your company. That's it. So, for example, in Shanghai, in each district, there are many economic zones. We work with several of them. Most of them actually they are located in Songjiang district of Shanghai. Why? Because Songjiang is basically, it's very famous for production and business. Okay, there are many companies located and registered in Songjiang. It's kind of an industrial part of Shanghai, so to speak. So in Songjiang, there are many famous economic zones that we work with directly. So this place, in this context, it means those economic zones, special zones, local government, etc. Okay, so your registered capital, amount of the registered capital depends on these two factors. For example, it's around 100,000 for consulting companies and around 300,000 to $1 million for international trading companies. Where do we get these numbers? Like I said, based on the business direction and place of registration. Regarding place of registration, these numbers are recommended by them or sometimes required by them. Okay, because again, let's be honest, for statistics purposes as well, government would like the coming companies, the companies being registered in their economic zones, they require them to at least register this kind of this amount actually as registered capital. Why? Because potentially, if the companies decide to inject, it's good for them, okay, for statistics or for attracting foreign direct investment, etc., etc. Okay, because like I said, China has its own bureaucracy, so we need to admit that. We need to mention that as well. Step number 4, fill out client information form. Once you decide on the positions, company's business direction, field, trading, consulting, etc., for example, share structure, who owns how much percent, and registered capital, you will need to provide us all this information by filling out the client information form, which is available on our website here. You can go jianfirm.com/register a company in China, and if you open this page, you will have a client information form online. Number 5, company name registration. This is in fact the step number 1, like in practice. Okay, all the above steps 1 to 4, they are something to consider before we start. The actual process starts from step number 5. So we start with company registration. Once we receive your client information here, and of course, obviously, we sign an agreement with you, service agreement, and based on the agreement, we're going to issue an invoice. You will have to transfer the payment for our services. And we need to mention that we require advance payment because it's a service. Once we start, we will finish it 100%, because government never ever refuses company registration application. It never happens. It's just like in any other country. Take US, Hong Kong, any country, even your own country. When you make an application for, to register a company, it's never refused. Yeah, it can be refused if you did those mistakes like I mentioned above. If you come from some, country that the government does not accept, or your country is under sanction, etc., etc. But like I said, we're going to talk about that, okay, before we take your application. If you from one of those countries and your citizenship is, troublesome, or the China doesn't accept your citizenship, unfortunately, we will not take you as a client. All right. So, going back to step number 5 again, company name registration. Once we receive all the information that you provided about your company, then we're going to register your company name. Obviously, we require you to provide a few name options, and you need to order them by importance. Okay, you need to put the number 1 as the most important name that you want to register your company, okay, under. So, for example, just for illustration, Shanghai Silk Road, if this is the name that you prefer, you need to put that number 1. And then you can provide us like, at least like 4 or 5 options, so we can, have a broader option. Like we can check if the first one is taken, then we're going to check the second one, third one, and so on. Now, regarding the names, there's a certain structure requirement. So they have to actually include place of registration, your chosen name, business scope, and end with Co Ltd. Okay, remember we're talking about limited liability company. So, for example, Shanghai, this is the place of registration. Okay, so it will have to start with the place of registration, and Silk Road is our chosen name. Okay, so this is the name we pick, and then this is the business scope or business field, international trading, and it ends with company limited. Now, you can have the place of registration in brackets as well. So you can have Silk Road in brackets Shanghai International Trading Co. Ltd. Or in the case of consulting, it will be Shanghai Silk Road Consulting Co. Ltd. Or again, Silk Road, your chosen name, and then place of registration in brackets Shanghai and Consulting Co. Ltd. All right. So I hope this makes sense. And any person who asks again, can we drop the place of registration, or can we drop international, or can we drop trading, etc., etc. To all these questions, the answer is no, you cannot. That's it. I mean, we don't question the requirements. We don't question the policy or the law. This is just simply the requirement in the government. Okay, in China, this is what they require, and that's it. It ends there. So it's useless to discuss it, why, etc., etc. So it's just requirement. That's it. We just have to obey. Next, step 6, signing the structural documents. Once your company's name is registered, company registrar will issue your company's structural documents. We're going to email them to you digitally. Okay. Of course, we're going to provide you with guidance where to sign, so that you can follow, that guide, and then print out those digital documents and sign like physically. So in China, it's mandatory to use a black gel pen, not a ballpoint pen, and not other color. Okay, only black gel pen is accepted to sign documents and return the signed originals by post. It means if you are outside of China, so basically you need to print those digital documents, okay, and then sign using a black gel pen, and return the originals by post. Okay, you can use DHL, FedEx, TNT, etc. All these international courier, the companies. Okay. So, or if you're inside China, it's very easy. You can use, SF. SF is one of the famous, postal companies in China. And in any case, we will need the originals. Company registrar does not accept scanned copies. Okay. Step number 7, general business license of the company. Once the structural documents are signed by shareholders, director, legal person, supervisor, and the accountant will be provided by us in the company registration package. For the first year, it's paid for. You don't have to worry about it. It's included in the total price. They are forwarded to the company registrar. Okay, all these signed documents. After that, we will wait for the company's general business license, and waiting period is around 15 business days. Okay, so yeah, this part actually is very important. I need to mention because first of all, during COVID, China is still using that zero COVID policy. It means that government offices are still slow. So please be patient, okay, when you register a company in China, especially nowadays. Okay, now the pandemic is not over, especially in China. Okay, they have a lot of measures, and strict measures actually. So that's why sometimes, if there are, like, because of the zero COVID policy, if there are more than 100 cases, then cities or districts might go into quarantine or lockdown. Okay, so you need to be understanding of this fact, and you need to be very patient. General business license of the company, like I mentioned, is given for 30 years. Okay, no need to renew it every year. So I think this is another response, another answer to many frequently asked questions on this. Like, people ask, how much does it cost to renew the license every year, etc. No, you don't have to renew the license in China. It's 30 years. Okay. Next, step 8, company bank account opening. Once the general business license is issued, we will make an appointment with the bank, and we're going to inform you. And in here, company's director, legal person will have to meet with bank manager in person. Okay. During this meeting, company director will have to bring his, her, and supervisor's original passports. That's it. There's no way around it. Okay, no way around it. Many people still, after so many videos, after so many times I mentioned this, they still try to find a way around it. Unfortunately, it's not possible. Like I said, September 10th, 2022. Now this is the up-to-date information. Banks still do not accept virtual presence like Zoom call, Skype call, etc. Company director must in person visit this meeting. That's it. Step number 9, company's tax registration. Once company's RMB main account is opened, why do I say main account? Because this is China. Okay, in China, your company's RMB yuan account is considered your main account for tax purposes. Okay, your taxes will be deducted from that main account. So that's very important element here as well. Like for example, compared to Hong Kong or some other countries, in China you need to maintain a yuan account. In Hong Kong, for example, you can register a company, but you don't have to maintain an account in Hong Kong. It doesn't matter. You can pay your taxes using any account you have. You can open a Hong Kong company and open your account in Singapore, open your account in the US, or any other country, wherever they let you open offshore account or non-resident account, right? You can do that with a Hong Kong company, with a US company, with a Singaporean company. But unfortunately, in China, it doesn't work like that. In China, once you register a company and to make the company active and working, you absolutely must, to open a RMB account in China. Otherwise, your company will not be active. That's it. This is simple as that, okay? You need to open an RMB account and then connect it to China tax office so that they can deduct taxes from your Chinese company. Otherwise, your company will not work and it will not be listed as an active company in the government database, and basically that company is useless. Even if you open somehow some non-resident account in other country, still Chinese government considers that company as inactive, okay, in China. So yeah, you need to consider that. So after we open your RMB account, okay, in step 8, actually let me mention this opening RMB account on this step 8 lasts around 3 hours, okay? So you need to calculate that. You need to be able to go there, sit around 3 hours, go through all the papers, sign a bunch of documents there, and then it's open after 3 hours, okay? You will have an RMB account. And once it's open, we're going to make an appointment with the tax office. Again, company director, legal person will have to go to the tax office in person. Like, this is not, again, virtual presence, physical presence, for ID verification. Okay, he or she will have to bring their passport, and that's for ID verification. Okay, must visit on the appointment date. Now, step 10, company's foreign currency bank account opening. So again, this is not required for many companies, okay? If you're doing import and export, if you're doing international consulting, then you require this. If you are just focusing on the Chinese market, like open a trading company, not international trading company, just trading company, or maybe culture communication company, you might not require foreign currency account, okay? So this is optional, kind of optional. Once the tax registration is finished, the waiting period is around 10 business days for tax registration to be finished. We will make an appointment with the bank for foreign currency account opening, okay, with the same bank. You cannot have your foreign currency account in different bank, okay? It has to be the same bank. We will make an appointment, and company director, legal person will have to go to the bank with her passport and supervisor's original passports, okay? 2 passports will be required again. So you need to calculate the timing accordingly. For example, some company directors will visit China only temporarily for all these personal visits, and they might calculate that, I want to stay there for 1 week or 2 weeks. No, you have to actually, our recommendation is you need to be able to stay in China at least like 2 months, okay? Otherwise, because, judging again of the current situation, pandemic, lockdowns on and off, restrictions and stuff like that. So at least make sure you plan your stay in China for about 2 months. Okay. Now, another note, very important: banks in China have preferences in terms of nationality, citizenship of their clients. I mentioned this earlier, and please don't ask why. This is how it works, and it's actually not only in mainland China, it's all over the world, okay? Because we have been in this business for the last 15 years, and we help clients open a company bank account in Hong Kong, US, Switzerland, etc., etc. All the banks, literally all of the banks around the globe. I'm talking about major banks, okay? Even fintech companies, like virtual banks, they have preference. We came across with many banks in the US. We came across with many banks in Hong Kong. Again, both traditional banks and online banks, all of them, they have preference in terms of citizenship and nationality. So this is how banking works, basically. You just have to accept it. Okay, that's it. So unfortunately, some countries' citizens cannot open foreign currency accounts in China. That's just the bank policy or the government policy. We don't discuss that. I mean, it's pointless to discuss that. Therefore, before we start the company registration process, we will check with the banks if they accept our clients. Okay, so actually this is step 0. When you approach us, we're going to, of course, communicate with you, and we're going to ask us in China. If they accept you as a client, then, only then, can we start the process of company registration. And a last step, company's custom registration. This is only for international trading companies, meaning import and export companies. It's not required for other companies. Okay, so in fact, for majority of the companies, there are only 10 steps, but this step 11 is for international trading companies, which will do import and export of different products in China. So once the foreign currency account of the company is open, we will make an appointment with the customs office. Company director, legal person, again, will have to go to the customs office. Director is required, will have to go there. And also to collect e-port devices. E-port devices, we have videos on our channel specifically for this topic, so please go ahead and watch. But briefly, China, transitioned into digital systems. Basically, your import and export is governed by e-port, electronic port. So these devices are basically USB devices that you connect into your laptop, and you do your import and export through that system. So you enter some data in that system when you are importing or exporting. You sign agreements with different ports in China, Guangzhou, Shanghai, etc. So you don't have to go personally to those ports and sign agreements. Okay, it's all digital now. So that's what ePort does for your company. And obviously, if you have any questions, like I said, you can use either one of these emails. You can go ahead and check our website. We have tons of information on registering company in China and other countries. Please make sure you visit our website and check all that information. There are frequently asked questions as well, especially on China, because registering a company in China is not an easy process compared to other countries. So that's why we have a lot of information on that already on our website. Make sure you go ahead and check those frequently asked questions. If you still have a question, welcome to send us an email, give us a call. Actually, before giving us a call, it's better to send a text message to WeChat, WhatsApp, or Telegram. This number is connected to all these social messaging platforms. Why do I say text us? Because the nature of our services is that we need to have everything in record, okay, for your benefit, and this is also to our benefit, because if something is under question, or if something, let's say, goes wrong, we are always able to go back and check those communications. That's why I personally always ask our clients to text us or email us first. If you really want to, talk to us personally, face to face, you can book a call actually through our website. Okay, you can go to our website. There is a section called Book a Call. You can book a call, and I will be very happy to have a Zoom call with you personally and answer all of your questions. And of course, Zoom call is also recorded for our reference to you, for you as well and for us as well, so we can go back to the communication and always check the facts. All right. So I hope this presentation is helpful for those who want to register a company in China. Once again, feel free to contact us, and we will be happy to serve you.